Hey guys, this is Maggie Osama from Online Learning School and welcome to this new tutorial. In this tutorial, I will show you how you can sequence layers easily in order to create some wonderful transitions and backgrounds in no time. I'll go over the basics so you can set up and then you could take it from there and start exploring some cool things to do. So first thing here, I'll create a new composition by hitting Ctrl or Command N on keyboard and click OK. Now I'm going to create a solid layer, and this by hitting Ctrl or Command Y. Choose the color you want and then click OK. Now I'm going to create a shape layer, so I'll right click here, add new shape layer. I'll open it up, then I'll come here at this add button. I'll add a rectangle, and I'll also add a fill. I'll open up the fill and choose a color. And now I'll open up the rectangle shape path here and turn off the constraint proportion beside size. Then click on the Y value, which is the height, and make it 1080, which is the height of my composition preset. Here in this example, we are going to create 10 of this shape layer going from left to right. So in order to be precise and make them all fill in nicely in my composition, I'm going to give it a width of 1920, which is the width of my composition preset divided by 10. Now I want to position it on the left side here. So first I'll move its anchor point to the bottom left here using Move Anchor Point panel. Then I'll select it and hit P on keyboard to get the position control and set the X value to 0. So as you can see here, I have it positioned to the left side. Now let's start animating this shape layer. So I'll select the layer and hit S on keyboard to get the scale control. And now I'll hit Shift Page Down on keyboard to go 10 frames forward. Then I'll disable the constraint proportion here. Click on the stopwatch beside scale. And then hit I on keyboard to bring my time indicator back to the beginning of my selected layer here. Let's change the Y value to 0. And now I'll select both keyframes, hit F9 on keyboard or right-click here, Keyframe Assistant Easy Ease. Then I'll go to the Speed Graph Editor here and drag this point inward. And this to make the motion so fast at the beginning and then slows down towards the end like this. Okay, great. So now I'll make 9 more copies of this shape layer. So I'll select it and hit Ctrl or Command Z on keyboard 9 times. So here I have a total of 10 rectangle shapes here. Now I want to distribute them all to fill my composition. So as we know here that the width of each layer is 192, so what I'll do here is that I'll increase the position for each by 192. So I'll select Shape Layer 2 and hold down Shift and click on Shape Layer 10 to select all of these layers, then hit P on keyboard to get the position control. And now I'll come here at Shape Layer 2 and set the X value to 192. And then in Shape Layer 3, I'll set the X value to 192 times 2. Then in Shape Layer 4, I'll set the X value to 192 times 3. And in Shape Layer 5, I'll set the X value to 192 times 4. Then in Shape Layer 6, set the X value to 192 times 5. And Shape Layer 7, set the X value to 192 times 6. Then shape layer 8, set the X value to 192 times 7. Then shape layer 9, set the X value to 192 times 8. And last, shape layer 10, set the X value to 192 times 9. Great! So here we have all our shape layers equally distributed, filling all over my composition. So now if I clicked on the RAM preview, it will play like this. Okay, now I'll drag my time indicator to get back to the beginning of all these layers. I'll select all those 10 shape layers, hit Alt close bracket, and this will move the layer's endpoint to the time indicator while ignoring keyframes. So it won't affect any of our created keyframes here, meaning that if you hit U on keyboard, you would see that we still have all our keyframes here. Now the next step is very important. If you want this to animate from left to right, you have to select the shape layers from bottom to top. And if you want them to animate from right to left, you have to select them from top to bottom. So here I want them to animate from left to right. So I'll select shape layer 1, hold down Shift key, then select shape layer 10. And now I'll go to Animate in the menu bar, Keyframe Assistant, then select Sequence Layers. For now, we will just go with the default settings, so I'll click OK. So what this has just done, simply it set each one of these shape layers end to end. Now I'll drag my time indicator to the end of my timeline here, and while selecting all of my 10 shape layers, I'll hit Alt close bracket, and this has moved all the endpoints of my layers to the time indicator. So if I click on the RAM preview now, it will play like this. Great, so far so good. So this is how you can sequence layers. Now I'll tell you some other interesting things that you can do here if you want to. You can make them all end at the same time, and this by setting the time indicator here at this keyframe, and then come here and select the last keyframe for each layer and hit Ctrl or Command X to cut the keyframe, and then hit Ctrl or Command V to paste the keyframe to the time indicator. And now if you click on the RAM preview, it will play like this. Also, you can select all the keyframes here, then hold down Alt key and drag like this. This will pull them all out while keeping the same relative distance between each keyframe. And if we played, you would see that they are moving slowly. And if we hold down the Alt key and scrunch them all together and click play, this makes it move fast. What else you could do? You could select all these 10 shape layers, group them in a pre-composition by hitting Ctrl or Command Shift C, and then duplicate it using Ctrl or Command Z, and drag it a little bit here, then give it a different color by going to the Effects and Presets panel and search for an effect called Fill. Drag and drop it on this pre-composition layer and change the color. I'll leave it red as is for now. Then come here, right-click on this one, go to Transform, then select Flip Horizontal. And this will give us this nice transition animation. You could also make it flip vertically, and then drag its start point here to the beginning of my timeline to get this. So as you can see here, you can do whatever you want. It's all up to your preference. Another cool thing that you can do is that you can delete this one and then go to the text tool in the Tools bar, type some text here. I'll make it white. Align it to the center using the Align panel, and drag the text layer down here under the pre-composition layer. And now select these two layers, duplicate them using Ctrl or Command Z. Then drag this text layer upward and place it under this pre-composition layer, and come here in the track matte column beside this text layer. If you can't see this on your timeline, hit F4 on keyboard or simply use the toggle switches mode button here. So I'll set this to Alpha Track Matte and change the color of the text. So now you have this cool animation. Okay, great! So this is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe and let me know your feedback by leaving a comment below. Thank you so much for watching and looking forward to seeing you in more upcoming tutorials.